Welcome, Healthcare Administration faculty team members. My name is Chris Gibbons. I'm the director for the program, and welcome to my little experiment, which I'm calling the Month in Review. Now, I know as being a faculty member, and especially an adjunct member, that you have a lot on your plate. You have your day job, you have family obligations, and then you're teaching on top of that, and you're doing this in the evening and weekends. It's a very, very full plate. Sounds a lot like our students, doesn't it? Actually, it's very, very similar. So I thought, we should have a method of communication. I do this for my students on a weekly basis, and I said, well, let's go ahead and do this with the faculty members. Now, many of you, we have had the weekly check-ins, which we did for the first the first four modules, and I thought that went well. But even with that, there was some scheduling difficulties in connecting with all of you on a regular basis to make sure that you're okay. The good news is all of you are doing great. The learning curve you've decimated. You've done a great job with that. You're right up there with some of our veterans, in managing our courses. As I go in, and I just go into courses to make sure that you're doing okay, and I see that all of you are doing very, very well. So that did work out okay, but I thought there should be another way that we can maintain that connectedness and kind of reduce your isolation. So I thought, let's give this a shot. I'm going to call it again the month in review, and let's take a look at what I hope to accomplish in these month in reviews. So the first thing is to keep you updated on the program. Major changes that we're doing, curriculum changes, important dates, etc. The other thing, a standing item that we'll have on here is a college update. So many of you are talking to colleagues and friends, and they realize that you work for Mercy College, and you probably want to be able to talk about what the college is doing. So keep you updated to the college, and especially how it's going to affect your courses. So if there's any changes here at the college, so kind of a college update. And then the last thing I think we should keep on there as a standing item is a best practice review. Something where we can share ideas. I'm always learning new things, and that's what's really exciting about distance education. Is always new technologies that are coming out. They're simplifying technologies, making it easier for people to make great content. So we can be talking about content creation. We might be talking about course management. We might be talking about student communication, or even D2L frustrations and tips and techniques in dealing with that. So we're going to have a kind of a best practice review that I'll try to do that will incorporate in all of these month in reviews. Okay, so that's what I hope to accomplish in this, and I hope to do it in under 15 minutes, and maybe between 10 and 15 minutes is my promise to you. Now let's start with the first one. All right, program update, director transition. So many of you were onboarded with Kim Watson. Now, Kim and I think we've exchanged jobs now 3 times. So Kim and I have once again exchanged jobs. So Kim was formerly in the role as director of the program. Now she has transitioned to a different role. I am coming kind of back into the role, which I held on an interim basis for about a year. For Kim to come back into that role, but now it's a permanent deal. I am currently the permanent director of the Healthcare Administration program, so I'm very, very excited about being in this program. It's something I've always had a passion for. I've always loved the program. I designed the Healthcare Administration minor, which is the largest minor at the college by about 4 times any of our other minors. It's a program that I have a close knowledge with when I designed the medical imaging program. So it's, again, part of, I guess, a passion of mine is the business side of healthcare. So I'm really pleased to be a part of that. Now let's talk about some of our new faculty members and some of our existing faculty members. So one of the things that we don't have is we don't have meetings where we can get together and see each other or collaborate. So you really don't know. You live in isolation on who is in the program and who's teaching. So let's run through a quick roll call so you can see who's currently in the program and teaching. So we have Shirley Trail. Shirley will be teaching our information systems class, and Shirley is the IT relationship manager here at Mercy Health. So we're very, very happy to have Shirley and her expertise in that class. Shirley will be teaching for the first time in the second 8 weeks of spring. So glad to have Shirley on board. I know we were going to try to start her earlier, but that class wasn't rolled out that particular semester, but now it is on and going. So happy to have Shirley on board. Then we have Sharon Lukeland. Now Sharon is a healthcare recruiter for Mercy Health out of the Youngstown area, I believe, and she will be teaching our human resource class. So again, I am so pleased that we have a HR professional in the HR class that has the healthcare orientation to it. So fantastic opportunity for our students to interact with Sharon. And then we have Katrina English. Katrina is currently teaching right now in the first 8 weeks our Law and Ethics course. And Katrina is a System Vice President and Network General Counsel for Mercy Health. So wow, we are really, really happy to have that level of content expertise in our class. So thank you for being part of our team, Katrina. And then we have James McGee. James is teaching our economics class, and I met James through our Masters of Health Administration program that we're designing. Found out James had an economics degree, and I was like, wow, I need an economics teacher. Will you teach? And he stepped forward, so we're really happy to have James in there. And James, again, right in there in the healthcare trenches on the administration side. He is the Assistant Administrative Director for St. Vincent Hospital. And then we have Brent Baird. These are our veterans now. Brent has been with us for years, and he is teaching our managed care contracting class. And Brent is the Assistant Deputy Director for the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. So very happy to have Brent. And next up in our roll call of faculty members, we have Dan Hoppy. And Dan is teaching our marketing and also our management accountability courses. Dan is a veteran here at Mercy College. He actually was one of the former directors, we used to call them chairs, of the HCA program. So some of you may know Dan from that time. But Dan has left Mercy College in that capacity for other opportunities. But we're so glad he stayed with us to teach in his adjunct role. Dan is currently the director for the Center of Distance and Innovative Learning at Rhodes College. So very happy to have Dan with us. And then there's myself, and I'll be teaching the healthcare systems class, the finance class, and our final course, the capstone course. In addition, when we have the practicum, which is our optional kind of internship opportunity, I'll be managing that course as well. And I'm the director of the HCA program. I'm also coordinator for Allied Health, so I'm also doing some more global things with the Allied Health department. So the great thing to look at here is really all that content expertise that we have in our courses. So really, really pleased to have that. Now, one of the areas that we do have a need for is an accounting instructor. So I am looking for someone to teach an accounting course. It's an introductory accounting course, and that'll be actually running in the second 8 weeks of spring. So I might be teaching that one myself, which I could do, but I would really prefer to get a higher level content expert in that course. Ideally, the candidate, well, at a minimum, the candidate needs a master's degree, and ideally they would have a master's and a CPA. So if you have any friends or colleagues who might be interested in teaching at the college, please pass along that opportunity to them, and I'd be happy to expedite their resume and see if we can get them hired and on board and a part of our team. Okay, so let's talk about some additional program updates with important dates that we'll be facing. Now we have coming up very soon is a virtual open house on March 2nd, and that'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. The virtual open house is basically a webinar. It was kind of webinar before there was webinars. It was something that Dan had started back when he was in charge of the HCA program. It's something we still continue to this day. It's been very successful for us. It's a great way for folks to learn about the program in a distance environment. Again, it's basically a webinar where they can interact with me and our admissions officers, so they can ask about how to get into the program, and I do talk about the details of the program. So please pass along that information. If anybody is interested in the healthcare administration program, they can go to the college website and RSVP for our virtual open house on March 2nd. Okay, now some other dates. We have the first 8 weeks will be ending on Sunday, March 6th. So for you folks that are teaching the first 8 weeks, you should probably know that date because you'll be done at that date. Well, almost done, because grades will be due, as you can see in our next bullet point. Grades will be due on Monday, March 7th. So make sure you do have your grades in by that date. You don't want the the registrar tracking you down, who happens to be Dan's wife, tracking you down for grades, because she will. She will track you down until you get those grades in. Trust me, she has tracked me down. So get your grades in by Monday, March 7th, and you'll be fine with that. Second 8 weeks begins Monday, March 14th. We've got a spring break in there, so a great way for folks to, our faculty, full-time faculty members and students to kind of recharge during that time period. But the second 8 weeks begins Monday, March 14th. Midterm grades for that second 8-week period. So remember, it's kind of a misnomer. It's not really the midterm. It's the more of, we should really call them mid-course grades. So your mid-course grades are due on Monday, April 10th. Now, what mid-course, this is somewhat of a new concept for us. Those mid-course grades, it's not an official grade, but it does signal to the student and to, especially to the advisors, to myself, if we have a potential situation with a student who has a non-passing grade. Usually we can try to help them as much as possible. If we have someone maybe getting a D, we can circle the wagons and see what we can do to help that student. So it's very important to do your mid-course grades, which will be basically the first few days of Module 5, to get those in. Stay tuned for a future video where I'll go over more about mid-course grades. Secondly, we have the HCA Program Advisory Meeting Wednesday, April 13th at noon. Look for an invite from me for that. You're more than happy to attend. Not required, but you're always happy to attend. I know Brent has attended them in the past, but I'll send an invite out. All faculty members are welcome to attend our advisory meeting. Then we also have some other important dates. So this one is this one's a little bit of a constraint here, but in your courses, if you are teaching in the second 8 weeks of spring, you have to survey your class immediately and find out who is graduating. So if you have any graduating students in your class, their grades are going to be due by Thursday, April 28th at midnight. Reason for this has to do with our graduation ceremony this spring. We couldn't get the venue we wanted. It wasn't open. We had to do graduation basically at a time that's a little bit earlier based on the venue than we historically do, which requires that we have to calculate GPA, etc., before they graduate to ensure that they've graduated. So you're going to have to identify those graduating students, basically put it in your course news, and I'll talk more about this as we get closer, but put it in your course news. Have them email you. I know how I'm going to approach it is basically I'm going to structure them with somewhat of an individual pathway, if you will, where their course is basically going to be 7 weeks long versus 8 weeks long. They're going to have to get everything in by Thursday. We're going to have a little bit. I anticipate modules 1 through 5 will be normal. 6 and 7 will be accelerated is kind of what I'm thinking. So each one of you may have different strategies to approach this to get your students through that. I know this is kind of an inconvenience. Hopefully this will not ever happen again. But we have been, actually it's a kind of good news. We've been struggling with our venue because of the size of the college. We were doing it in the cathedral here here in Toledo. We've outgrown the cathedral. So now we're doing it the peristyle. So we're trying to, I guess, migrate over to the peristyle as much as possible. So growing pains as we change venues. So please keep that date in mind and try to identify those graduating students. All right, and then lastly, for everyone else in your class, if you don't have any graduating students, great. If you do, well, again, you got that 28th deadline. But for everyone else, grades will be due Monday, May 9th. Okay, let's continue on with our program updates. Real quick, some curriculum changes. Our accounting course has been updated. I have updated the class to be a Principles of Accounting for Healthcare. Before, we were only covering managerial accounting. Our students were having a gap in knowledge because they did not understand the financial accounting. So we have now included both a review of financial and managerial accounting in that course. So I think it's going to be a nice, well-rounded experience for our students to really prepare them for the workplace. And then lastly, in the program updates, we're going to have a completely revised curriculum, which will be effective for fall of 2017. Now, for a few of you, I have already talked about a little bit about the revised curriculum and what that might look like. Stay tuned. I'll be contacting each one of you to see if you're impacted by that. There really is not major changes other than some content refresh like I've done with the accounting course. And we'll be actually adding a course to the program. Actually, a couple of courses will be added to the program, so we're going to change the overall credit hours will increase slightly. Now, there might be some changes also in the college's graduation requirements, so it may be a wash. We might come down on our graduation requirements and go up with the program a little bit. So, but stay tuned. Know that there'll be some curriculum changes that will unfold over the next year. And then lastly, with our college updates, Megan Gray, who's our Director of Career Services, someone who our students deal with often, especially in job searching and resume development, will be leaving the college at the end of this week. So I know that they are in search or have that position will be filled. I just don't know when. So please do keep that in mind. Okay, so that's a little bit about the college update. Other kind of minor issues with the college, which I didn't even put on here, is that we're going to be doing some moving, but that'll be internally here at the building, so offices will be changing, floors will be changing. Really doesn't need to impact you. Just know, for those of you that are familiar with my office on the 4th floor, I'll be located still on the 4th floor, but in a different part of the building. So stay tuned on that. If should you need to see me, I can definitely guide you to my office. Okay, so that's enough with the college updates. Let's talk about best practice review in try a few minutes here. First, I want to talk about early alerts. So with early alerts, that's a very important thing. If you have a student who's struggling with anything, and that's really the key, anything, and trust me, you can see a lot of things that will occur. It could be maybe you find out they're living in their car, maybe, which we've had happen. Maybe it's some other difficulty. It can be a counseling difficulty. It can be academics. It can be really anything that is hindering that student's success, or maybe a future hinder to their success, is something that you want to do an early alert on. Now, early alerts can be found on the college website, and I know a couple of you have had to issue early alerts on students. So let me go to the college website here. Let's see here. Okay, let me bring this down a little bit. And we'll scoot this over here. Okay. As I'm bringing my web browser into the screen capture software. So you can go to the Mercy College website, and under Faculty and Staff, as it loads here, you will find Forms under Faculty and Staff, then go to Forms. And then we have a lot of faculty forms, including the syllabus templates, but we also have it is under, and I think I just went right through it here. Thought it was under miscellaneous. Yes, that was under miscellaneous. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Under Student Affairs. There we go. One down. Under Student Affairs, right in this area here, we have the Early Alert Referral Form. So you just simply click on that and fill out the information on there. That then goes to our Director of Diversity and Retention. It also goes to the academic advisor, and then to the program director. So we kind of circle the wagons on that student and try to help them and find out what the appropriate pathway is. We also have a mental crisis report form. If in doubt, do the early alert, and we'll figure it out if it's a mental crisis. So again, very, very important. I want to say, just in my time here, it's kind of sad, but sometimes you have even suicidal students. And maybe you're reading a threaded discussion, or maybe they send you an email or text and you kind of see that language in there, and you'll want to fill one of those out right away. And we do have a counselor here at the college, and they'll jump right in and try to bring help to that student no matter where they live. That's kind of the cool part. We're going to try to help them as much as possible. So know that the early alert form is out there. If in doubt, fill it out. Okay, so that covers that early alert. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about that was on our list of best practices is screencast-o-matic.com. And you can simply find that here at the screencast-o-matic.com website. This is a fantastic tool for screen capture. So as you can see right now, I've just brought my video back. This whole video was recorded with screencast-o-matic.com. You have a record capture window that you can control the size. You can put that right over a PowerPoint and capture that PowerPoint with this video in there as well. And you can resize the video. You can move the video around to different spots if it doesn't look good at a certain location. I kind of position this because as I'm looking at my screens and I'm looking at the PowerPoint, my eyes are almost looking at the PowerPoint. It's kind of an illusion. And you can also go big if you want. You can actually go all the way across if you wanted to and capture the whole picture. But I think it's really nice on how you can do that. And the learning curve on this is like 5 minutes. And there's two versions. One is free. You can do a lot with free. But for the, I think, $15 a year, you can get the Pro version, and you can do even more. It is a great tool. It is one that I use all the time. There's really two things that I use. This one I use for kind of the quick, and then I have what's something called Camtasia that I use if I want to do the high production, full lectures, animation, all that stuff. That has a pretty steep learning curve. This is easy to do and quite frankly does a lot. There is a third one in there called Explain Everything, and I'll talk about that in a later video. So those are kind of my three weapons: Explain Everything, screencast-o-matic.com, and Camtasia, well, in addition to old PowerPoint, which has got some great new features too, but we'll talk about it at a future date. So please take a moment to check out screencast-o-matic.com. It will be well worth your while. One of the things I would consider is that with some of you are using PresentMe or MoveNote, two almost identical products. We have found that those are getting kind of glitchy in their interactions. So with screencast-o-matic.com, you can either upload it to their own, it automatically uploads to their own servers, video servers, or you can retain that video file that you've created and then upload it to YouTube. And it's much more, I guess, stable than PresentMe or MoveNote. And the key point is you want to make sure that you've retained your content in some form. If your content is being automatically uploaded to MoveNote and you haven't captured that in an MP4 or some other video format, and for some reason MoveNote goes bankrupt, you don't want your content stuck here. With screencast-o-matic.com, with this software, I have all the videos. I keep them all. They're on my laptop and they're in a standardized video format. So play around with this. I think it's an excellent, excellent tool. All right, so I have already broken our first promise, which is try to get you done in 15 minutes. Hopefully they'll be a lot newer and we won't have to go over so many items as having these on a monthly basis, this one being the inaugural one for the month in reviews. Excellent. So remember, give me your feedback on this and what you want to hear, what you want to see in these. It is an evolution in progress, and we'll change this to fit your needs. All right. Well, remember, I'm here for you. If you have any questions or concerns, call me, text me, email, snail mail, smoke signals, whatever. I'm here for your success, so you can deliver that success to our students and make them successful throughout the program. All right. Well, again, my name is Chris Gibbons, the director of the HCA program, and as always, thank you for watching.